Hi guys, welcome to lesson 1-6. We're going to be talking about rounding decimals. So rounding decimals. So you may remember rounding from 4th grade and from 3rd grade. So rounding means to kind of find an average or what's close to it. So if I was going to round 25 to the nearest 10, I would look at my 10, look next door, and then the 5 tells me to round up. So I would be rounding 25 up to the next nearest 10, which would be 30. If you remember, many people teach it this way, where you have a 0, 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4, and those tell you to round down, and then your 5, your 6, your 7, your 8, and your 9 tell you to round up. So we'll be talking about rounding a few times this year, and this is just the first time. So let's start with the number 2 and 36 hundredths. 2 and 36 hundredths. So we are going to round, or I'm going to ask that we round to the 10th place. Rounding to the 10th place. So step 1 is to look at the digit to the right. So we're going to look at the digit to the right. I usually circle it because this is really what's going to tell me what I can round to. Step 2. So we know that if the digit is 5 or greater, we round up. If the digit is less than 5, then we leave it alone. So 6, what do we know about 6? So step 2, we determine if we need to round up or down. So our 6, because our 6 is what is going to tell us whether we need to round up or round down. That 6, is that 6 greater or less than 5? Well, that 6 is greater than 5. And we know it because it's over here, too. Here's our 6. That's going to tell us we need to round up. So we know we need to round up. So if I have my 2.3, or 2 and 3/10, and I'm rounding up, what that means is when I round up, I add 1 to the digit I'm rounding to. So my 3, I'm going to add 1. So 2.3 or 2 and 3/10 plus 1/10 would be 2.4. 3 is to drop the digits to the right of the rounding place. So what that just means is instead of putting my 6, I'm not going to put my 6 back here next to my 4. I'm just going to leave it alone. So my answer is 2 4/10. We're going to practice. We're going to practice 2 more. 2 more. So here's our first one that we're practicing. 0 and 763 thousandths. This underline means that that's the place I'm rounding to. So I'm rounding to the hundredth place, which means I'm going to look next door at my 3. My 3 is going to tell me whether I'm rounding up or rounding down. So you can refer back to your rounding hill here, mountain. Where is my 3? Well, my 3 is on this side, which means I'm rounding down. When we round down, what that means is we just get rid of this digit and we leave it just like it is. We don't do anything to our 6. We leave it like it is because we're not rounding it up to 0 and 77 hundredths. We're leaving it at 0 and 76 hundredths. Okay, we're going to try one more. For this one, I want us to round to the nearest whole number. Whole number. So I'm not going to underline anything because I want us to round to the nearest whole number. So you might be thinking, well, what's a whole number? What makes a whole number? What a whole number is anything that's to the right. If there's a decimal, we know that that's a fraction. Fractions are part of wholes. They're not a whole number. Anything in our ones place, that's a whole. So rounding to the nearest whole number is you're rounding it to the nearest either ones or tens. It's usually ones. So you're rounding to the nearest ones place. So I'm going to take my 2. I'm going to look next door at my 7. Does my 7 tell me to round up or round down? Well, 7 on my rounding hill is on this side, which tells me to round up. So my 82 becomes, I add 1, my 82 becomes 83. So rounding to the nearest whole number, it just means rounding to the nearest ones place. That's where the whole is, because anything in the tenths or hundredths place, if you have something there, that's a fraction. It's not a whole number, it's part of a whole. So if it says round to the nearest whole number, you're looking at that ones place. Continue on in the Nearpod.